This week we will be learning about volume, what volume is, what it is used for, and how to find the volume of a rectangular prism and represent the answer. Let's take a look at this problem. How many cubic units of water can this fish tank hold? If you were filling a saltwater fish tank, it would be important to first know how much salt water you need to fill your tank. This problem is asking you to solve for the amount of space available inside the tank. But how do we do that? Let's first review what we already know. Ask yourself, what measures do I already know about this rectangle? We know that perimeter is the distance around the outside of an object. The formula for perimeter of a rectangle is 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. In this formula, all 4 sides of the rectangle are added together for a total. What is the formula and solution for the rectangle shown here? Pause and solve. For this rectangle, we would solve 2 times 10 plus 2 times 5 for an answer of 30 units total. We also know that the area is the number of square units an object covers. Think about a book on your desk. How much of your desk surface is that book taking up? That's the area. The formula for area of a rectangle is length times width, which gives an answer in units squared. Try solving for the area of this rectangle. Pause here. We would multiply the length 10 by the width 5 for an answer of 50 units squared. So, what is volume? Volume is the amount of space an object occupies or contains. So let's take a look at some other water containers, a glass and a pool. Which one has the smaller volume? That's right, the glass has a much smaller volume than the pool. The pool can contain far more water than the glass. It's important to note that volume is a measure that can only be used for 3-dimensional objects, not flat or 2-dimensional objects like flat Stanley here. To graphically imagine measuring the volume of a rectangular prism, we can imagine an area of a rectangular prism is being filled by unit cubes. The maximum number of unit cubes that fit into the prism is the volume of that prism in cubic units. But what exactly is a cubic unit? First, we looked at length units, which are used for the perimeter of an object. We also discussed square units, which are used for finding and recording area. For volume, we use the measurement of cubic units. A cubic unit is a measure of volume equal to a cube that is 1 unit tall, 1 unit wide, and 1 unit long. The volume of a cubic unit is found by multiplying the length 1 times width 1 times height 1, and the answer is expressed as 1 unit cubed to represent that the object we are talking about is not just 1 unit in length, but is a 3-dimensional object. We use the exponent 3 for cubed just as we use the exponent 2 for squared. We can also write this as 1 cubic unit or 1 unit cubed. This formula of length times width times height is the standard formula for finding the volume of a rectangular prism, no matter how big or small. Again, the formula of a rectangular prism is found by multiplying the length times width times height of an object for a solution in units cubed. We can write this as length times width times height equals volume cubed. Let's look at the figure we have here and try to determine the volume. In this picture, we can count the individual units to find the length, width, and height. Go ahead and count with me to find the information necessary to solve. First, the length, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and record. The width, 1, 2, 3, and record. And the height, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and record. Pause here and try to solve. When we plug these numbers into our formula, we get 6 units times 3 units times 6 units. Before multiplying, did you recall how we denote measurements? in units cubed. So for this problem, we would get an answer of 108 units cubed. Okay, that happened fast. So let's take a look at volume in a way that may make more sense for some of you using knowledge we have already mastered. To find the volume of this rectangular prism, let's start by finding how many cubic units are in one layer. To find this answer, we would use our formula for area, which requires the length and width to input into the formula. Go ahead and count with me again, starting with the length. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and record. And the width, 1, 2, 3, 4, and record. When we plug these numbers into the area equation, we get an answer of 24 units squared. Now solve for the total volume of the object. We need to consider how many layers fill the figure. Let's count together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We can say that there are 8 layers, or that the prism is 8 units high. Now we can solve for volume by multiplying the previously solved for area by the number of layers. In this case, we take the 24 units squared and multiply by the 8 layers, which gives us an answer of 192 units cubed. Can we find this answer in another way to check our work? Of course we can. Let's return to our standard volume formula, which is length times width times height equals volume cubed. We know that the prism is 8 units high, 6 units in length, and 4 units in width. Now we just need to plug these numbers into our formula. Go ahead, pause, and try it on your own. Did you get the same answer? By multiplying 6 times 4 times 8, we get the same answer of 192 units cubed. Okay, so we're ready. Let's revisit the fish tank before the fish dries up. The question is, how many cubic units of water can this fish tank hold? Now we are equipped with the knowledge that volume is the amount of space an object takes up or contains, and we know the formula for volume of a rectangular prism is length times width times height equals volume cubed. So what information do we need to solve? That's right, the length, width, and height of our fish tank. If you know that the tank is 10 units in length, 5 in width, and 7 in height, you can solve the problem. Go ahead, try to solve on your own. Pause the video and plug the numbers into the equation. Our equation would be 10 units by 5 units by 7 units equals 350 units cubed. Don't forget to properly label the units in units cubed. If I just wrote 350 units, this would be like a very long line. Or if I wrote 350 units squared, it would describe a flat object like the rectangle we saw earlier. We did it! Yay! Based on our calculations for volume using the formula for volume of a rectangular prism, we know that this fish tank can hold 350 cubic units of water. We have solved the problem, and I finally have some very happy fish. Thanks for sticking with me through this lesson. We learned a lot about what volume is, what it is used to measure, and how to solve for the volume of rectangular prism and represent the answer symbolically. Before you go, consider this last problem. Notice that in this problem, standard units are changed to inches. Give it a try. Comment with your solutions and thoughts below.